Hi guys, it's Abby back again. I hope you're enjoying the series so far. Today we're going to talk a little bit more about the doshas in more detail. So I'm going to do a video per dosha, and we're going to start with the Kapha, then into the Pitta and the Vata. So I guess if you haven't already completed the Banyan Botanicals dosha quiz, maybe pause this video and go and do the quiz. It's just a few questions, but it will really give you some valuable insight into what prominent doshas are showing up for you at the moment. So it'll make this upcoming information much more relevant if you know what your dosha is. And the great thing about the quiz is it gives some recommendations afterwards about some possible herbs or massage oils, or even daily routine techniques like cleaning the nasal passages or doing some oil pulling or tongue scraping that might be super helpful for you as well. And if you're interested in getting any of those supplies, you can also shop the Banyan products through the link in my bio as well, so that you can sort of start getting some things together for your Ayurvedic lifestyle. So what we're going to talk about today is the Kapha dosha. When we talked about the elements, we discussed that the Kapha dosha is made up of the water and earth element. So when we combine water and earth together, we basically get mud. And if you think of mud, it's cold, it's moist, it's damp, it's heavy, it's static, so it's non-mobile. And so anytime we think about a food or a disease or a season that has those qualities, that's when we know that Kapha is present, and we need to apply the opposite qualities to make sure that we maintain our balance. So if I can, simplify that a little bit further, if we look at a plate of food and it's, say for example, it's yogurt, that's very Kapha pacifying. It's cold, it's moist, it's heavy, it's damp, it's sticky, and it's dense, and it's certainly not moving. So that is a very Kapha dominated food. But for example, if you look at something like popcorn, it is light and dry and completely opposite, almost Vata pacifying. The only similarity that it sort of has is that they're both cool or at room temperature. So you could add some something that may be hot, freshly cooked popcorn that's hot and it's dry and light. It's completely opposite to yogurt. So you can see one food is very Kapha dominant, and one food, being the popcorn, would be very Vata dominant. So we start to see doshas in our food. And then if we look at the way we're feeling, so anytime where we feel heavy and stuck and depressed and lethargic and tired and just no energy, and we've put on a little bit of extra weight, and we've got a little bit of fluid retention, so anytime where there's excess tissue growth, excess moisture, or any feelings of heaviness, that's when the Kapha dosha is dominant within your system as well. Also, itchiness can be a sign of Kapha. So there's some signs to sort of keep an eye out for yourself. If you sort of notice that those sort of changes are taking place, then perhaps Kapha is dominating in your system. So then what we see is during the day, you'll see that Kapha starts to naturally increase at certain times of the day. So in the morning, between 6 a.m. and 10 a.m. in the morning, that is the time of day that Kapha is most dominant, and also in the evening from 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. at night. So you've got these two windows of time where Kapha is most dominant, and that means that generally you're going to feel more tired and more heavy and more lethargic and more still than other parts of the day. Now in the evening, that's the perfect time to be feeling that way, because we're winding down for bed, and particularly if you need a little bit more sleep, you would be going to bed around 10 o'clock. So it's the perfect setting up for retiring for bed in the evening. But in the morning, if you sleep in or you get up after 6 and before 10, sort of 8, 9 o'clock, chances are you'll feel more heavy, more tired, more difficult to get out of bed, because the Kapha is more dominant at that time of day. So you've already been sleeping all night, you've already been deep sleep, still heavy sleep, and then you're sleeping even more, you're bringing more of that quality into that time of the day. That's why it's harder to get out of bed, where I challenge you to sort of set your alarm a little bit earlier and see, provided you've had enough sleep, see if you feel a little bit better getting up earlier and starting your day. So that's just one little tip, but also because Kapha is most prominent in that morning time, and we really want to kickstart the system, that's the time of day where it's really good to get moving. So, you know, get out, do your physical exercise, break a sweat. And with Kapha, because we want to increase the heat and be more mobile and make us feel more light, any vigorous activity is great. We can do some really quick sun salutations if you like yoga. Even Bikram yoga might be suitable because it's going to be a little bit more heating on your body. You might find other activities that you really enjoy, but generally we want to increase the heat, break a sweat, and get that body really moving. And the best time of the day to do that is in that Kapha dominated time, because we can really counteract that. The other time of the year that Kapha is really dominant is more through the springtime. So we think naturally that's a time in nature where there's lots of growth and development. Now, Kapha is very essential for our physical development, muscles and bones, and our fat tissue cells and all of the mucous membranes, and everything that's physical within our body is responsible of the Kapha dosha. But also we can find that an excess is obviously not recommended. But in nature, we see this building and life sort of expanding and growth and new flowers and baby animals and all that sort of thing starting to come. That growth and development stage is through the springtime. It's also where we get a little bit more rain, a little bit more moisture, and we can get that muddy sort of feeling happening as well. And some people find that that's when they get a little bit of extra fluid retention. They might get some hay fever or allergies, so we're getting a little bit more mucus, watery eyes, itchy, and runny nose. So we're getting a little bit more mucus coming through in our systems as well. So if you have a Kapha imbalance, then you might find that springtime is particularly challenging for you. And that's where you need to really step up and be a little bit stricter with your routine. And you might find that other times of the year are more enjoyable and you get less symptoms simply because, the environment is more balancing for you. So that's just another little tip that the season of spring can be more challenging if you've got that Kapha dominant in your constitution. And the other time that Kapha dominates is more through the early stages of our life. So from our birth up until our teenage adolescent age, that's where we're doing all of our growth and development again. So it's when Kapha is quite dominant, but it's also if we get a Kapha imbalance, we're likely to get more mucus and chesty coughs and runny nose and drool. And if you think of children, they've always got those sort of symptoms associated when they get a cold or a virus. Whereas we get older, we might find that we don't get as much mucus or as much congestion when we get older. We might get other symptoms, maybe aches and pains and things like that. So the early stage of life is definitely when the Kapha is more dominant. So don't get me wrong, we definitely need the Kapha dosha, we definitely need the growth and development, but we want to make sure we keep it in balance, because excess Kapha is excess mucus and congestion, feelings of heaviness, putting on weight, and all of those things are what we want to avoid and keep in a nice balance. So that's a nice little introduction about how Kapha shows up through the times of our life, through the times in our day, and also seasonally. And I'm going to do another little video on Kapha next, which goes a little bit more into foods and lifestyle and digestion for the Kapha. So make sure you tune in for that one. I'll see you soon. Bye.